The Bears have now signed Eric Washington as their defensive coordinator. We break that down and describe why Gervon Dexter's probably the happiest person on the planet next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome
hair.
back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube and rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Emergency episode today. The Bears just signed Eric Washington as their defensive coordinator. And of course, in typical Bears fashion, we broke down everybody yesterday for that defensive coordinator position that they were interviewing. And now they hire someone the next day. It happened the exact same way with the offensive coordinator just earlier on. So why not with this? But today, we're going to break down even more, in more detail, what the Eric Washington hire actually means for the Bears. Because when you look at who they interviewed, Chris Harris, Terrell Williams, Eric Washington, Joe Barry, who, we said more of a staff position, but ultimately they go with Eric Washington. A little bit about him. We talked about it before. He was with the Chicago Bears, I believe like 10 years ago or so, but then also moved around and ultimately goes over to the Bills. And what's great about that is he has a lot of experience under different systems. And when he was over with the Bills, he was an assistant head coach and a defensive line coach as well. Which what that shows me is that he can really I think because of the assistant head coach title, I think he can really assist a Matt Eberflus, whom Eberflus is going to still continue to call plays. I think he can help in other ways having that assistant head coach title at the Bills. Whether he's going to keep that with the Bears, I think that's still up for discussion. But I think overall that this is a good hire. And we talked about it before with last episode. There really wasn't someone that kind of blew me out of the water compared to the others. I felt like you could really go right with anybody that you went with. And I think that this hire of Williams, what he brings that the others, I think he kind of has a step above everyone, is the type of coach he is he is more of that old school vibe of a coach. He's going to hold people accountable. He's going to also, what I love, is he's all about learning the fundamentals and kind of the hand usage. And I was listening to CHGO with Corey Wooten, who played with him, and also just was doing my own research. He's a very big fundamentals guy, how to use your hands. And I know when PayPal was on the show, we talked about this all the time, that we didn't really like our defensive line coach. It seemed like he never really got the most out of someone. And last year, Gervon Dexter did get better, but I wanted something better. I wanted someone that could come in and really coach people up. And it really seems like Washington is going to bring that. And what I love about that is our draft strategy when it's come down to players. It's always been the raw athletes. Dominique Robinson at defensive end. He's not produced. He's not developed. Gervon Dexter and Zacch Pickens, for the most part, they are players that were raw talent. Didn't really have a lot of production in college, but they were former 5-star recruits. It seems like the Bears have a type that they want at the defensive line. And I've said this time and time again. Typically when you have someone that has all the raw talent, that has all these really great attributes, but if they didn't produce in college or they didn't have a plethora of moves, typically they don't really pan out. So bringing in an extra set of hands to help out, no pun intended, with the hand usage on the defensive line, you can look at a Gervon Dexter and really feel like this is going to be an extra set of hands that can help out with the coaching. And that's something that gets me really excited, because if the Bears want to bring in these raw, talented guys and try and get the most out of them, I love that they're bringing them in to really kind of bolster this defensive line. And like I said, holds people accountable and really seems to be a perfect addition to this hits principle. Now, like we said before, he's going to not be calling the plays because Matt Eberflus is going to be calling the plays. And I think this is also where you might have seen the defensive pool of candidates kind of shrink a little bit. Because if you're not going to call the plays, some people might not want to go over to that situation. But Flus is still going to call plays, and I think ultimately you saw what happened last year. Flus is a good play caller, good defensive play caller, and I think overall this seems like it's going to be a good match with Matt Eberflus and Washington. But how does this affect the draft? How does this affect with how the Bears are going to develop? what you saw with the Bills is they got a lot of sacks. They're aggressive. They're dogs, right? And it makes you think about who in the draft might be a perfect person for a coach like this. And I know we've talked about some defensive linemen and someone who's started to actually move down draft boards that I think he might fall in love with is like a Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson out of Penn State, 6'3", 250. I think about what the Bears might want to do. He's just, like I've mentioned in my little scouting report, he's just this junkyard dog. He doesn't have any pass rush moves. He's a ball of clay. He's a great athlete that has the biggest heart on the field. He's going to just be a flat-out dog. He needs coaching. So that might be someone that I immediately, when I saw this hire and I saw what they probably want to do with the defensive line, you still need a defensive end. Immediately, I was like, oh my God, Chop Robinson. I think Chop Robinson would be great for them. 20.9% pass rush win rate. Just a pure athlete at the position. So that's someone that I think when you go into the draft, I think that they're going to want to try and draft people rather than sign people, which I think could be a great idea, because we've talked about even with like signing Chase Young with all of our off-season scenarios, signing a pass rusher, or even like a Jonathan Grenard, a lot of those guys, they're going to be costly. You're going to have to pay a pretty penny to bring them in. So if you can develop your own, I think even the better. And if you can develop Gervon Dexter to be that 3-tech that you need, that's going to show a lot. But just some other players like Jared Verse is someone that I really like, very heavy-handed and just kind of has a lot of pop to his game. But then Latu is one of the best defensive ends out there, but had a neck injury. He already has good hands already, but like a Dallas Turner, another good athlete that I could see the Bears going after. I think with this addition, I think their two favorites at the defensive end spot has got to be a Dallas Turner and a Chop Robinson, just because the potential that these guys possess. I think that a person like a Washington will look at this and go, I want that. I want that on my, I want to take that ball of clay and create it however I would like. So overall, what do we think about this hire? Let me know down in the comments. What do you think about this hire? Did you want one of the other people a little bit more, right? I know a lot of us wanted Chris Harris because of the connection with the Bears, but Washington has had connections with the Bears. And I think ultimately learning more about him as a coach, I really like this hire. I'm not going to say it's a home run that we got the greatest defensive coordinator of all time, but that's what we didn't need that in this position. I like the idea that when you look at this defense, the linebackers are good. The corners are good. The safeties, you have to decide what you want to do with a Eddie Jackson. But besides that, we're good. It's really been this defensive line that we need to have it take the next step. We need it to move forward. And by adding in someone that has even more training and coaching experience and someone who can develop talent. We even saw that with the Bills and A.J. Epinesa. And also, like we said, with Greg Rousseau, kind of a very good athlete coming out of Miami that he was able to get the most out of. And there's other occasions with like Mario Addison, where he's an undrafted rookie free agent, that he was able to kind of take to the next level. I think that this is a very good hire. It fits the need that you need on this team, and the defensive line ultimately should prosper because of it. So with that, let me know what you think down below, but I am, for one, really excited about this. And the last little bit that I want to just bring up is just from the why didn't we just promote from within, or even a Snow? Why did Snow not get the job? And maybe, yet again, like I said last time, we don't know who got interviewed internally, because a lot of times those agents don't say anything. So maybe they didn't interview anyone. Maybe they did. We don't know. We might not ever know. But I think maybe with Snow, does he stay on the staff? We just have to see. Is he going to just stay as an assistant? Is he going to stay as that consultant type of a role? We'll just have to keep our ear to the ground and hear what might happen. But I think overall, pretty good hire. Good hire. I have no problem with it. And let's develop this defensive line and create something special. So we have a bunch of different episodes going on. Also, like I mentioned before, no live shows next week, but we'll resume them right afterwards. But a lot, it's Shrine Bowl week, it's Senior Bowl week, so you better believe we're going to be giving you all the content you need to follow that with the NFL draft and everything else like that. But with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a